All right, so
Awesome.
are you thinking of buying or selling a house, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950 and soon to be on the CW23. Our sponsors are Bricks Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, Structure Tech Home Inspections, James Tolson with Country Financial, Cregan's Construction, and Gray Duck Staging and Design. Make sure you check us out online anytime at TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. There you will find past shows, our weekly market updates, along with the latest and greatest home searching and researching tools. And you can find all of our great free publications to include the Bricks Report, the Smart Home Buyer, and Smart Seller publications. If you have any questions for us, you can give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. We're happy to help answer any of your real estate questions or assist with your real estate needs. Today, we're going to be talking about rental properties today 101. In studio with me, as usual, Chad Preby, Bell Bank Mortgage. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks,
and
Kurt.
Jilly Jenkins with
Hello.
Bricks Real Estate. So, rental properties.
It's a fun topic.
Well, it is. It's a great topic. I love it. It's like what I want to do in retirement
Yeah.
when that time comes. I mean, there really, in my opinion, is no better investment than in real estate.
Right.
But man, it has not been the greatest market to be out there in the last 6, 8 months, 12 months.
Year.
Right.
Yeah, for finding really good rental properties. Now, there are some exceptions to that. You know, if somebody is willing, especially with the no evictions order in place, willing to take on a property that maybe has a tenant that hasn't been paying, you may be able to find a really good buy out there. But that also is a big risk because you don't know necessarily when that's going to end.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things where, you know, we're talking about cash flow as being one of the most important things when purchasing a rental property. To not have any cash flow is a lot of risk.
You wouldn't purchase the rental property then.
Well, I mean, it depends on what your cash reserves are.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you're a cash buyer, for sure,
Right.
I think financing is probably out of the question then at that point.
I would say so.
Yeah, because they're not going to have the books to
Yeah,
to
right.
show. So one of the things that I covered in our market update this week was a shift in the marketplace, and I was really kind of waiting for this week because we knew that activity would slow over Easter weekend, which really eats up 2 weeks worth of data because you have the Saturday and the Sunday of activity dropping.
Right.
And so I was looking at that data, knowing it was going to drop back, and my anticipation was we would see that for the Saturday of Easter weekend, that week would be slower than the following. Joe, who was on last week, had mentioned, hey, there might be a real big influx of listings coming onto the market, and there was. It was
Yes.
Almost 2,000, or I think about 2,000 listings Friday of that week when we had checked. And so we had seen some increase back up from the previous week, but not as high as 2 weeks prior. And so I knew that this week was going to be really important as to showing, are we in a sustained slowing down of the market as far as average showings per listing, which is a key indicator of where prices are going to go in 30 to 60 days, right? Because
Yeah.
that's when they'll close. And so it dropped back again, even lower than Easter weekend's numbers. So that gives us 4 weeks of data off of the peak, which I think is a pretty clear indicator that we hit our max speed of activity.
And I like that indication. Didn't you say it actually moved the market meter?
Well, it put it on a waffle, waffling a little bit.
Yeah.
We are so fast, and what I said in that video was, climbing out Mount Everest is the highest peak,
Right.
and to climb K2 is still a pretty high peak. So we're only slightly off of the max.
Yeah.
It's still, in comparison to any other year, extremely fast.
Every
Right.
single agent that I've been working with has said this is the hardest market I've ever worked in.
It's the hardest market
Yeah.
I can find any data on,
Yeah.
as far
For
as
sure.
for buyers.
Yeah, mortgage originations are down 30% on purchase transactions, and that's due to, the interest rates have increased, which took out the refinance activity, but with the low inventory, the originations are down 30% from last year. So,
Yeah. Now, with the last week's 2,200 listings came onto the market, so this should bring inventory up over. I don't know if it's going to be 4 weeks or 6 weeks, but it will get to a point there where we'll be in a lot different boat. And that's kind of what's leading to today's topic, which is rental properties, that we may actually start to have a market where this can become worthwhile to start going out and looking at these again.
Investment.
As homes sit on the market a little longer, as inventory increases, as buyers become more picky, which we know happens as inventory increases.
right.
Now, you mentioned something regarding financing previous to the show, some big change that's happening with investment properties.
Yeah, there is, Kirk, and thanks for bringing that up. And it's again, we've talked about this all the time, and it's never too early to start the process. If you're in the market to look at purchasing an investment property, you want to be talking to your agents, you want to be talking to your lenders well ahead of time. There's a huge shift with the investors. There's a communication that came down where there's a 2% basis point hit on the pricing when you're purchasing an investment property.
That's taking effect. What?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we've known about this, but actually the deadline is tomorrow. So I'm not trying to scare you away, but I want to have you prepared for the interest rates are going to be higher if you're in that investment property market.
Well, and at the end of the day, so you're talking about 2 points, and rates are right around 3% right now. So you're talking about a 5% interest rate, which honestly, you go back a couple of years, that's kind of what every investment property was.
It's not bad.
That's still historically low.
Yeah.
It's still not bad. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention is there's also other forms of financing, right? If you look at it as a business standpoint or an LLC standpoint, we can talk about commercial lending. We have financing officers within the company I work for at Bell that are commercial lenders that can get you into a different type of financing standpoint. So again, that starts with that conversation up front. You want to be talking to your lenders and real estate agents to find that out. There are opportunities out there. One thing real quick too is if you're looking at 20% down versus 25% down, you're looking at a huge difference in interest rate. So if you're that 20% down buyer on an investment property, your rate's going to be quite a bit higher, almost close to 0.5% higher than if you were to put 25% down. So these are all good things that you want to be talking to your lender about to save you money and get that cost of return a lot higher.
Now, just a random question. I know we didn't.
Yeah.
I know we didn't really talk about this prior to the show, but is portfolio ever an option for buying rental property?
It could be, yeah. And when we're talking about portfolio, we're looking at your assets,
Right.
right? Those are all one. We look at those individually, case by
Right.
case.
Well,
yeah.
and that's why portfolio is an interesting product.
Exactly, but yeah, good point, Kirk. I mean, that's again, I say it a lot, and I talk to my clients about it a lot. Is if you're not talking to me, and if I'm not talking to you about these options, we're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, getting down before the commercial break here, but what I want to get into in the next segment is what really makes a good investment property as far as the things that we should be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about kind of cash flow expectations and equity potential. Also, getting into some of the locations in the Twin Cities where I might keep an eye out. I know it sounds like I might be bragging, but I mean, I was calling Midway and West 7th and certain parts of South Minneapolis and Columbia Heights years ago.
Yep.
And there are places you should be looking today as to what are going to be those next neighborhoods
Yeah. Good point.
to be popping and to be focusing on, because it always seems to be the case that they're out
Well,
there.
you really want to look on the fringe neighborhoods.
Yep. And, well,
What
that's
neighborhood is like exploding? What can you buy around it fringe that hasn't exploded yet?
We're going to take a quick commercial break. Again, if you have any questions for us, give us a call, 651-380-3019. So it's still recording the video
Not
right
audio?
now. But, well, no, it's got the audio. So anybody who watches this video will be able to hear me talking.
Got it.
Did you do the transition screen? Okay, cool. And then she's going to restart the clocks, and then she's going to restart the recording. And did you put it on a pause or a stop on the radio? Okay, perfect. It's the turkey baster timer.
I'm going to get you a new timer.
I'm getting hungry.
You know, if you let it run out, you don't have to do that every time. It'll restart. Did you know that? Okay.
I didn't know if it was done before. I got a little nervous.
All right.
All of the beeping. Okay.
It's like me at home if I had one of those swear beepers.
Ooh. I have a lot of money in that jar. Trust me.
All right.
All right. Ready to go?
And start on 10:30? Okay. Welcome back to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950 and soon to be on the CW23. It'll be on Fridays at 8:30. You can catch that. We also upload all of our shows to YouTube, so you can catch them there as well. Today, we're talking rental properties 101 today. And so we are kind of leaving off with what makes a good rental property. And the first thing I want to touch on, and I'll bring it up probably in a couple minutes, is it's not the house down the street from you. Okay. As soon, I kid you not, I used to do a ton with foreclosures and stuff like that. And every time is a person like, oh, I'm looking at buying the house down the street from me as a rental. And it's like,
you don't want to live next to your
well,
renters.
yeah, I mean, you're gonna get people coming over knocking
Yep.
to fix things at all
Nonstop.
hours. But no, it tends to be that those don't cash flow. Right? That you're not going to buy a house and then be able to fix it up and get it to cash flow typically. Yeah, it's not 100% of the time, but it's 98% of the time. It's just not usually going to work.
Okay.
So what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for properties that can cash flow. Usually, I'm looking for a minimum, if it's a townhouse, of $300 a month. If it's a single family, a minimum, again, of $400. Above that, great, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things, too, is if you get so stuck on locations and how it makes you feel and all these things, you're never going to buy a rental property.
And you need to be looking into, are you trying to buy a house that you live in, or are you trying to buy a house that you rent?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
good point.
really what it comes down to, is a good rental property. It's a math equation.
Yep.
Right? Yes, you can fix it up. You can make it a great place. You can make it how you like, as if it makes financial sense to do it. It's where I see potential investors go wrong is they get so emotional in a math equation, right? That it's not going to be the house that you're going to live in, right? It's not typically. And I know I had a good client who was like, hey, I'm looking to buy a place, and and I'm going to live there for a little bit and then rent it. And I go, well, you're going to need to be really flexible, and you're going to not need to care so much about exactly where it is, right? Because a good rental property isn't typically your good single family. You're going to live their house forever or whatever it may be, right?
And there's so many different areas you can be in. You looking at it while you're shopping you can't be taking into consideration. You kind of think about, location. How does this work for me and my lifestyle? That's like the worst thing you could be thinking about. You have to put that out of your head.
Well, right. And if you're listening to this program and you're fundamentally disagreeing and you're thinking about getting into rental properties, maybe you shouldn't get into rental properties. Because dead serious, it's the person who gets in and wants to make it the home they're going to live in, especially finance. It's a little different if somebody's buying cash outright. You have a lot more leeway.
Exactly.
But then again, does the math formula make sense? You know, when I'm looking at a rental property, I'm running the numbers on if I'm going to sell it to another investor, right? That's how I'm treating it. That way, every rental property isn't going to be a risk of losing my shorts if the market changes.
And real estate's a long game, kind of no matter what way you play it. So are you going to be able to hold that property in hard times in the future? I mean, a lot of people lost the shirt off their backs years ago where they got in over their head owning too many single family. Like, are you going to be able to hold a single family easier? Are you going to be able to hold a duplex easier? You know?
Yeah, statistics show, I mean, the first thing that's going to go is your investment property.
Right, probably why they're hiking rates, right?
Could be a good, could be an indication of that. And also, you know, hey, we like TV, so we're watching these shows out there now, right? HGTV and some of these other Flip It shows and this and that. Something we were talking about outside of the show was the types of materials that you use when you're updating these types of properties you're buying. And, you know, I thought you guys made a good point. I never thought about that myself, is you're not putting the best materials into these properties.
No,
right?
I mean, do you want them wrecked?
Right, because you're going to have to possibly update that again and you used the term like when you have a new tenant, right?
Every turnover,
right?
Is the cost, because did they have pets there? Did you put in some peel and stick flooring because it was the cheapest thing you could find, and you think that that's your cheapest, smartest investment? Maybe you should have went mid-range and got a more durable flooring.
Right.
We were joking, don't be putting marble in, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have durability, longevity, and don't go, when you're renovating a rental property, don't go into it with an idea of what your design plan is. You go to the clearance aisle and you find what is durable and what is the best choice for you for what you have for options, and then you figure out your design plan from that.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't shop
especially
off of what you want.
When it's your first property, you need to learn, and so the least amount of risk you can put yourself under, you know. But it tends to be that person it's their first property tries to do the most amount of risk. Buy in their neighborhood because it's convenient. Put these things in because they like them.
Right.
Have it so their daughter or son can move in and be a great place for them, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, your daughter or son might live there for a year or 2 years, and then they're gone. So
Exactly.
now, you know, you have to have a property that you're not just so invested in financially that it's not going to make you money.
You just want it to be clean, durable, and have some sort of draw for aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean,
appeal.
if it was me, I would be looking at cabinets that you can easily paint back white.
Yep.
You know, just an inexpensive laminate countertop that you can change out if it gets damaged up too much.
And they make really nice laminate countertops now that look gorgeous.
And then, snap together laminate flooring as much place as you can put it.
Please do not put the ones that are literally a sticker on particle board.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Those will
peel
peel up.
The second that someone doesn't care that they spilt water or their dog's dish is spilling water on the floor or something, it's just expanding and you're going to tear it all out anyways.
Yeah, I mean, avoid your tiles. Avoid expensive carpets.
Don't do ceramic.
If you're doing,
it's just going to break. It's going to chip. It's going to crack.
Yeah, you just have stuff that's inexpensive to replace. I love what you said, Jilly. Just go into the clearance aisle.
Yep.
Buy whatever you can. Let's talk, though. We got a few minutes left about locations that I might and you might be focusing on, Jilly, as to where you might be able to get good rental properties. I still think Columbia Heights.
Heights all the way.
Yeah, is a market that
Pretty soon,
hasn't.
Fridley.
Yeah, Columbia Heights hasn't been fully taken advantage of yet, as far as
And
values.
the prices are going up.
Right.
And
It's
up
the next
and up.
Northeast.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day.
And that's like we were talking about.
Right.
Find the fringe. Columbia Heights
Yep.
is the fringe of Northeast. Northeast isn't necessarily feasible anymore to buy a rental property.
No,
It really
it's just so expensive.
It's so
It's not going to cash flow
yeah,
well.
unless you find something that you have the capability yourself to renovate. You're not paying somebody to do it. That's a huge undertaking. That's something you got to go into with a lot of experience.
I'd be looking at West St. Paul.
Yeah, I love West St. Paul.
Yep.
West St. Paul, and also we had talked about Greater East Side before.
Yep,
I have a ton of clients buying in Greater East Side right now, and that's a fringe area up by the lakes. People are loving it.
Yeah, Greater East Side is hands down that's the hot spot. Out of everywhere, I think that's where I'd be looking at.
There's
buying.
so much to offer there with the parks and
Yep.
the lakes. It's just it's a nice place to be.
Yeah, and you know,
In North Minneapolis,
yep.
honestly. I love the Shingle Creek area. I love Lynn Bohannon area. I have a lot of clients that have looked up there and have been buying up there. Willard Hay, we had talked about in a previous section, where it was up, what was it, almost 20% equity this year.
Robbinsdale. I know
Yeah.
Robbinsdale's
Robbinsdale's up higher than
it-
Crystal
it's,
is.
It's moving fast.
Yeah.
I don't even know if there's much for
20%.
20% in Willard Hay.
Wow.
And Robbinsdale, I just checked that last night for a client, and it was something like, I think it was like something like 12, 13% up, and Crystal was like 10ish, something like that up.
Yeah,
I'd
I
have
mean,
to-
there's opportunity out there. It still exists even today. Our market will be in a very different spot. We've got just a few seconds left here, but you know, last things I want to leave people with. When you're out there looking for rental properties, we talked about areas. Look for quad-style townhouses.
Quads
Love
are
those.
the best
Great
for
opportunity.
return.
Yep, quad, because a lot of times they'll be advertised as a 2-bedroom, and you can make them easily a 3. Also, downtown St. Paul, downtown Minneapolis condos. As always, you can reach out. Any questions regarding which associations you maybe want to look at, talk more about styles, 651-303-0019, and check us out at TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. We'll be back again next week.
Thank you.